Hello again, everyone. Today we'll talk about the syntactic features of Islamic translation. In previous classes, we discussed some other features like the phonological features, morphological features, and the lexical features. Today we'll learn how to put these features together and translate on the sentence level, on the context level. I will try to have a look at the different syntactic features of Islamic translation. The syntactic features are very important to consider in translating Islamic texts because they may differ from other genre, from other registers, in many aspects. But before we talk about these different aspects or different features, let's have a look at the language itself. The early classical Arabic, like we use the Quranic Arabic in Islamic discourse. We also use this type of language, this formal spoken language at mosques, also in our formal written language in religious discourse. And generally speaking, we can use it also in education and in books. But in this case, we talk about different level of classical Arabic, which is called modern standard Arabic, which is a variety of classical Arabic, a variety of early classical Arabic. Now, we'll look at this type of language and how the syntactic features can be dealt with when translating Islamic text. Classical Arabic texts are originally spoken text. So this could be a challenge to the translator to move from the spoken genre to the written. So the first aspect or the first feature is capitalization. In the spoken genre, we don't pay attention to how capitalized a word is, but in Islamic text, in written Islamic text, or in written genre in general, capitalized letters are used for different functions. In Islamic text, in written Islamic text, like the one you can see on the board, الحمد لله المبدئ المعيد الفعال لما يريد ذي العرش المجيد والبطش الشديد الهادي صفوة العبيد المنهج الرشيد سديد. We talked about the phonological features before, but today we'll talk about syntactic features. Praise be to Allah, who originates all and returns it, who does as he wills. Look at the capitalized pronominal references here. The pronouns that refer to God. The first relative pronoun, who, is capitalized. Praise be to Allah, who. Any reference to God must be capitalized in Islamic text or in religious texts in general. So, relative pronoun or personal pronoun. So look at how the relative pronoun is capitalized. And also the personal pronoun, he, who does as he wills. He of the noble throne, And also, any references to God, even nominal references, or like adjectives, the guide, but here the noble throne, it's a proper noun. So this is why it is capitalized. Here, the guide is an attribute of God, so it must be capitalized. Now, if we move to Arabic pronominal references, if we capitalize any pronoun that refers to God, or any relative pronoun that refers to God, it doesn't reflect the Arabic style. Look at this verse. يُضِلُّ اللَّهُ مَن يَشَاءُ وَيَهْدِي مَن يَشَاءُ. In Arabic, in the written form, we don't have capitalization. But if you capitalize here, we may have different readings, because we have got two approaches in interpreting this verse. يُضِلُّ اللَّهُ مَن يَشَاءُ وَيَهْدِي مَن يَشَاءُ. Does the pronoun here, the implied pronoun, in yasha, the verb yasha, refer to God or refer to the man, to the human being? Yudullah man yasha, does it refer to God or does it refer to man? Yudullah man yasha wa yahdi man yasha. Two approaches here that have been discussed theologically, and we have got differences and arguments between two major schools of thought in the early period of Islam about the concept of justice. Does God will to misguide people? Does God misguide people or not? So one approach says that God facilitates guidance and misguidance, offers guidance and misguidance. Others claim that no, it's man, it all belongs to man. Whoever wants to be guided will be guided, and whoever wants to be misguided will be misguided. This is reflected in the translation of Sahih International. Look, thus does Allah leave astray whom He wills and guides whom He wills. Here, whom refers to man, to the human being. Allah leaves astray whom He wills, and He, the personal pronoun, refers to God. So the subject, the nominative pronoun He, refers to God, and the accusative, the recipient of guidance or misguidance, is man. Another interpretation, another translation by Ibn Khattab, in this way Allah leaves whoever He wills. So capitalized personal pronoun He, that refers to God, but whoever refers to man, so it is in the lower case. So Allah is the one who wills to guide or who wills to misguide. But we need to pay attention and be careful to the translation of Asad, who has got another approach. Asad, in the translation of Asad, in this way God lets go astray him that wills to go astray, and guide aright him that wills to be guided. So He only opted for one interpretation, that man is the one who goes astray on his own. If he wants to be guided, he will be guided. And if he wants to be misguided, he will be misguided. So, two approaches in the translation of this verse. But can we avoid this confusion, and we can give an eclectic translation that can be interpreted differently by any school of thought? I think capitalization is the reason here. If we don't capitalize, we open the text for different readings. But if we capitalize, so here we opt for one interpretation of the Quranic verse. It's up to you to choose whatever interpretation you like. But you need to put in mind the different implications of your choice. Vocative. Here, vocative, like oh God. In vocative, the vocative case is extensively used in religious text, especially when invoking God or admonishing people. Oh God, when you supplicate to God, when you pray to God, it's an expression of direct address. Vocative or vocatives in general express attitude, politeness, formality, intimacy, or a role relationship, and most of them mark the speaker characterizing him or her to the addressee. So when God speaks to us, O you who believe, when we speak to God, oh God, so here we can introduce our speech with oh God, with a vocative. But here we need to pay attention to, or to be careful of O with OH, which is not used for vocative. And in modern English as well, we use vocative without O. We can say God, like we say brothers and sisters in Islam. So this is a formal expression, oh God, O you who believe, which is specifically used in Islamic or religious texts, like Allahumma a'inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husna ibadatik. Oh Allah, assist or help me in remembering you, or to remember you, in thanking you, or to thank you, and in worship you, or to worship you in the best of manners. Now we'll move to imperatives. Imperative, it's used for instructions, for advice, for summons. But we have got different types of imperatives in Islamic text, in Arabic in general, and also in English. In religious discourse, we often find direct address to God in the form of supplication. Aghfirli, irhamni. Here, the imperative mode is not used in its literal sense. Supplication is exclusively used to address God. Oh God, forgive me, have mercy on me, protect me. But the imperative mode with God can take different forms. It may be introduced by the vocative article O, Bless, O Lord. Also, we can notice that the imperative mood is employed with God after a vocative, O Lord. Or we can also use an adjective after the imperative, like make haste our victory, make haste our victory, make clean our hearts. And instead of saying haste our victory, clean our hearts, we say make clean our hearts, make haste our victory. The language of direct address is an appropriate vehicle for effective communication, where the addressee seems as if holding a conversation and talking to the addressee. The imperative mood has different meanings, like I said in the previous slide. Can be a comment if the speaker is older or has a higher position than the addressee. It can be for exhortation or an entreaty between two equal parties. It can be for supplication from an inferior to a superior person, or from an inferior to a superior in general. The imperative forms in the Quran are multiplied, are varied. Look at this verse. وَإِذَا حَلْتُمْ فَاصْطَادُوا. Is the imperative form here for obligation? For example, after Hajj, after pilgrimage, after we end our pilgrimage, after we stop or we interrupt our state of ihram, do we have to go for hunting? وَإِذَا حَلْتُمْ فَاصْطَادُوا. Or is it permissible? Asad translate this verse. After your pilgrimage is over, are you free to hunt? So he used the word free. This imperative form is not translated in an imperative form in English, because it has a different meaning. You are free to hunt. In Bexel, but when you have left the sacred territory, then go hunting. If you will. Here is not full obligation. Although this is an imperative form in Arabic. وإذا حلتم فاصطادوا. Khattab, when pilgrimage has ended, you are allowed to hunt. So here again, you are allowed to hunt. It's not for obligation. It's for permissibility. So in Sahih International, again, but when you come out of ihram, then you may hunt. Now you can see that the imperative form here is not used for obligation. Look at Shakir. Shakir's translation used it differently. When you are free from the obligation of the pilgrimage, then hunt. See, it's obligation, so you have to hunt. And also in Irving's translation, once you are permitted to go on your way, then go hunting. It's an obligation. So anyone goes for Hajj and ends his rites and acts of worship there, he has to go hunting, which is not true. Actually, we have got 35 meanings of the imperative forms in the Quran. And one can find these 35 meanings in شرح الكوكب المنير by Abu al-Baqa al-Futuhi. He counted 35 different aspects of imperative forms in the Quran. You can find the imperative form for obligation, الوجوب, وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة. For example, perform prayer and give zakah. Permissibility, الإباحة, like the verse we have just talked about, وإذا حللتم فاصطادوا. Recommendation, الندب, فكاتبوهم إن علمتم فيهم خيرا. You are recommended to do this act of contract with your bondsman or your slave to free them. Advice, للإرشاد, واستشهدوا شهيدين من رجالكم. Promise, الوعد, وأبشروا بالجنة التي كنتم توعدون. Threatening, التهديد, اعملوا ما شئتم. Supplication, الدعاء, ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي. So you can find that the imperative form can be translated differently in different contexts. Just have a look at the 35 meanings presented by Abu al-Baqa al-Futuhi before translating of the Quran.